That's right, it's KP's Video News, y'all. And hope you all had a good Juneteenth weekend. It's Monday. It's time to get back to business. That's right. It's Monday the 22nd, June 22nd here. And got to get back on the grind. That's right. Got to get back on it. And so that I hope you got a chance to get a real big chuckle this past weekend out of the DC Dunce's extremely failed so-called rally that he had over there in Tulsa. You know, failed big time. Talking about, yeah, it's gonna be, he said it was 100,000 people, then it went up to 250,000, then he said it's gonna be over 1 million people asked for tickets, and then in reality about 6,000 people showed up. Oh boy, there he is, the DC Dunce. About 6,000 people showed up. And he mad, boy, he's mad as I don't know what right now. I'm ready to fire somebody, I'm quite sure. But yeah, well, you're on your way out, partner. So on with the show. In a new video, mothers call for action to save black sons' lives. And after the murder of George Floyd in Minneapolis, Minnesota sent shockwaves throughout the world, especially into the hearts of several mothers of African American men and boys. Unnecessary tragedies where African Americans die as a result of hate crimes and police brutality have come so familiar, including the recent deaths of Ahmaud Arbery and Breonna Taylor, that people of all colors and backgrounds are starting to stand up and call for an end to the mortal violence. When I heard about Floyd, I thought again that could have been my son, said Rosalind Harris. And, you know, so she reached out to friends to help her create the I Have a Black Son video. 30-second and 45-second video portray mothers of black sons who are afraid for their lives every day as they maneuver through an American society that still holds on to racism while holding a picture of their sons. The 21 mothers in the video proclaim their bonds to sons and grandsons. We all want change in the system and felt this was a way to do our part as mothers in solidarity. And said actor, director Candy Brown and videographer Cecile Perrin admitted, my sons are young now, but I worry what this world is going to be like as they grow into manhood. We decided it was important to keep a heartbeat throughout the video. Its symbolism includes a pounding of a mother's heart from an unexpected 3 a.m. phone call, the shock of knowing that her son has died, and the rhythmic pulse of life before a son takes his last breath, said film Tanya Ishikawa. The flashing red represents a police car and ambulance lights, the throbbing physical sensation of rage and the blood that is shed. The goal of the video is to remind the public of the loss to families and communities by these criminal actions and encourage everyone to get educated and take action such as registering to vote, voting, and urging lawmakers to hold police and murderers accountable. The video ends with calls to action as well as a cry for help. We can't breathe, just like the words voiced by Floyd as he lay dying. Throughout history, women couldn't breathe when their babies and husbands were taken away. Women couldn't breathe when they were beaten and raped, when they were sold into slavery. Today, women can't breathe. It's been 400 years of oppression and painful experiences for African Americans, and it's time for change. As mothers, we want to share our message so that all of us, especially our children, can breathe a little easier. And the video is available on Denver's Urban Spectrum YouTube channel. That's Denver Urban Spectrum, and that's a YouTube channel. The DUS website, Facebook and other social media channels can also be seen by clicking the 30-second version. And you can go to YouTube. It's 30-second version and the 45-second version are both on YouTube right here on YouTube. And the video will include the Denver Spectrum's Us Now June 20, 2020 webcast, which will premiere on June 14th. So that already premiered. So it's out there right now if you want to see it. That's Denver Urban Spectrum and it's on YouTube. So I'll try to put the link up. And we have outrage after a black man is sentenced to 55 years in prison after the Alabama cop killed his friend. So we got Lakeith Smith, an African-American man from Alabama, was just 15 years old when he was convicted of felony murder after a police officer shot and killed his friend under the state's accomplice liability law. Although he did not cause death or harm to anyone, he was sentenced to 55 years in prison simply because he was with his friend when this happened. Lakeith, who is now 20 years old, admits to breaking into 2 homes with 4 friends when police caught them. In the body camera footage, it can be seen that one of Smith's accomplices, a 16-year-old Dante Washington, fired shots to the police. An officer who was not publicly identified fatally shot back and killed Washington almost instantly. The officer was cleared from any wrongdoing as the grand jury ruled that the shooting was justified. The keeper was convicted of 2 counts of theft, burglary, and felony murder. And under Alabama's accomplice liability law, Smith was found guilty of murder because Washington died while they were accomplices committing the crime, even though he did not directly cause the death. Despite being a minor when the shooting happened, Smith was tried as an adult. He was initially sentenced to 65 years in prison, 30 years for felony murder, 15 years for burglary, and 10 years for theft. His sentence was reduced to 55 years when the judge ruled that his 10-year sentence could run concurrently with the 15-year sentence. Smith's other accomplices, Jadrian Hardy and Javarsky Jackson and Anthony Washington, all accepted plea deals, but Smith declined a plea deal that would have reduced his sentence to 25 years. The officer shot Adante, not Lakeith Smith, defense attorney Jennifer Holton said during Smith's trial. He was 15 years old, child, scared to death. He did not participate in the act that caused the death, and he never shot anyone. But still, he was still given 55 years, man. 55 years. Wow, that's a long time, man. Tried as an adult. The 15-year-old kid tried as an adult. You know, it's like, wow, he won't get out of jail until he's 70 years old. So this past week, you had a bunch of companies that laid off thousands of employees. And the effects of the coronavirus are still battering the economy, despite signs of a turnaround. Just look at the most recent numbers. Another 1.5 million workers filed for first-time jobless benefits last week. The Department of Labor said Thursday, for a total of more than 45 million Americans who have done so first-time benefits since mid-March. Large companies are reducing their headcounts as a result of the pandemic. Here are some of the largest companies that announced workplace reductions this past week. 24 Hour Fitness kicked off the week filing Chapter 11 bankruptcy, and the company permanently closed more than 100 gyms across the United States, resulting in an indeterminate number of layoffs. The company is unable to provide details about the number of employees impacted by difficult decisions that were made during this time. 24 Hour Fitness. 24 Hour Fitness. I think that's now one that Magic Johnson owns. I believe it is. I believe that is one of his businesses. Likewise, the owner of New York Sports Club and a number of other gyms located in the predominantly East Coast revealed it laid off 7,000 people, and Town Sports International Club said it regulatory filing Monday that the scope and duration of the interruption of our operations has substantially reduced our cash flow, and it owns about 200 gyms in the Boston, Philadelphia, and Washington, D.C. area. So all those gyms are closing down because it's pretty much almost impossible to keep a gym clean from germs when you got thousands of people coming in and out using that same exercise equipment. So it's best is get your own exercise equipment and do it at home. Here's another one. AT&T, Communication Workers of America said the job cuts will come out to build 3,400 technicians and clerical staff, as well as 1,300 additional workers at the AT&T Mobility and Cricket Wireless stores. So all in all, a 4,700 head count reduction. So they're going to get rid of 4,700 people, and that would represent a 2% decrease of its global staff. Hilton Hotels, they're getting ready to lay off 2,100 employees, or roughly 22% of its corporate workforce. And HSBC, the banking giant, resumed plans to cut 35,000 jobs, or roughly 15% of its global workforce, saying that the coronavirus pandemic has made the overhaul it announced earlier this year even more urgent. So you got banks folding up, closing out 35,000 jobs. Man, that's a lot of jobs. And their profits plunged 48% to $3.2 billion in the first quarter compared to last year, and set aside billions of dollars to cover credit losses from the pandemic. So that's like, wow. And then here's this story right here. This is some more stupidity we got going on out there in the world today, folks. And let me look at this. How long is this story? This story here is really crazy, man. And this is where we are right now. And the Department of Justice investigators said Monday that they're looking into the noose, a noose that was found in NASCAR star Bubba Wallace's garage stall. The U.S. Attorney's Office in the Northern District of Alabama, okay. FBI and the Department of Justice Civil Rights Division are reviewing the situation surrounding the noose that was found in Bubba Wallace's garage to determine whether there are violations of federal law. Regardless of whether federal charges can be brought, this type of action has no place in our society. The announcement came a day after NASCAR said the noose was found in Wallace's garage stall. Wallace, the only black driver in NASCAR's top circuit, has been very outspoken in the past few weeks about Black Lives Matter movement and the corresponding protests. He even called out on NASCAR to ban the Confederate flag, which it did on June 10th. We are angry and outraged and cannot state strongly enough how seriously we take this act. NASCAR statement read, "We have launched an immediate investigation and will do everything we can to identify the person or persons responsible and eliminate them from the sport." The racing organization also said the incident only strengthens our resolve to make the sport open and welcoming to all. Wallace tweeted Sunday that the despicable act left him incredibly saddened and served as a painful reminder of how much further we have to go as a society and how persistent we must be in the fight against racism. "This will not break me. I will not give in, nor will I back down. I will continue to proudly stand for what I believe in," Wallace said. NASCAR told CNN the garage area where the noose was found is restricted to essential personnel, which includes race teams, NASCAR officials, and security and health and safety personnel. So it had to be somebody that was involved in racing that was in that particular area. Those are the only people that can get close to that. Sunday also saw the first time NASCAR fans to the track in Talladega, Alabama, where a Confederate flag with a defund NASCAR banner was seen flying over the track being towed by an airplane, and Confederate memorabilia was also being sold across the street from the race. And the race was postponed to Monday because of weather. So the race was postponed till today. So Bubba Wallace, the only black driver in NASCAR, somebody put a noose in his garage. Each one of those little spots for each car, they have a garage stall. And you know, this is just letting you know, man, these idiots are not, you know, the more you try to fight racism, the more racism is going to try to fight you. So you just better you got to be ready. You got to be ready, because it's stupidity, a bunch of stupidity out there, instead of people, you know, trying to do what they got to do, man. They're just going to try to act like idiots. So just be careful. Got to be careful. KP's Video News, y'all.